Hey everybody, it's the Van Show. Welcome. And today we've got our friend, Mr. Chris Barton. Say hello.
Hello.
All right, we're so happy to have you here.
You're happy to have me back. This is my third time to be on your show, Van.
Well, I know it.
They know it now, too.
There's a big reason for that.
Yep.
Is you always have something new to share with us every time.
Oh, I thought it was because I was always free.
Well, something else I wanted to ask about was the first book that you wrote when you were 7.
Yes. Oh, you know that one.
Oh yeah, I've read it.
Okay.
The Ozzie Brothers.
The Ozzie Brothers Meet the Monsters.
That's right.
Yep.
Now, the names of the Ozzie Brothers specifically interested me.
Uh-huh.
Fozzie Ozzie, just because that's great alliteration. I mean, that's a great, what do you call that, a rhyme, rhyming name?
Yep.
Yeah. But Frank Ozzie reminded me suspiciously of the man Frank Oz behind the Muppets.
Yeah.
Who I'm assuming were an inspiration considering the name Fozzie was in there.
Oh, I was a huge Muppet fan. You know, in fact, the three things that the Ozzie Brothers Meet the Monsters were really inspired by were the Muppets, old Abbott and Costello Meet the Monsters movies I loved watching on Saturday afternoons, and Star Wars. And you may not notice the thing about the Star Wars connection so much, but a phrase you hear pretty much in each of the original Star Wars trilogy, usually said by Han Solo, was, "Let's get out of here." I say "let's get out of here" 3 times in that 2-page story. So I
noticed that.
Yeah. If you have a great catchphrase, why not run it into the ground as quickly as possible? So yes, I know I love the Muppets. I had the Muppet Show cast album. That and the Grease soundtrack were my two favorite, my two first records. And so I'd seen the TV show many times. I had listened to the record and probably looked at the album cover many times. I don't know that I deliberately thought I will name this character after Frank Oz, but you know, Fozzie Bear is clearly named for Frank Oz. So I straight up stole the name Fozzie from the Muppets, and maybe I deconstructed Fozzie to break it into its component Frank and Ozzie parts.
I imagine that. I also wouldn't say you stole it.
Yeah.
Well, it was an homage.
It was an homage. I wrote what I knew, and what I knew was that the name Fozzie was a great character name.
Awesome. So I want to talk about, so this isn't a writing project. Well, I mean, it's writing related, but it's a TV show, or a YouTube show specifically that you do with Jennifer.
Right.
Dedicated, is that what it's called?
It's called This One's Dedicated To.
Right. And can you tell us a little bit about that show?
You bet. So This One's Dedicated To it's a YouTube series of interviews. Each episode is between 5 and 10 minutes long, and in those episodes we talk with another creator of children's books, an author, an illustrator, sometimes 2 people at once, but we'll talk with them about one dedication in one of their books. So who did they dedicate that book to? Why that book to that particular person? What's the story there? How did they let that person know about this honor they had given to them? Because Jennifer and I, we're both authors. We have dedicated lots of books. There's a reason for each one of those dedications, but we also realized no one really ever asked us about those dedications. But we knew we wanted to talk about those people because we thought enough of them to dedicate a book to them. So we thought, well, maybe other authors would be interested in talking about those stories. Maybe other readers like us would be interested in hearing those stories.
That's amazing. And you know what I want to do?
What's that?
I want to extend you the grace that you extend all of those other authors.
Well,
and I want to ask you about your dedication.
All right.
In the new book.
In the new book. Well, my new book is Moving Forward, From Space Age Rides to Civil Rights Sit-ins with Airman Alton Yates. And in this case, this is the first time that I've ever dedicated a book to the person that I wrote the book about. So there's actually a picture of me with Alton Yates and with his wife Gwen. I dedicated this book to Alton and Gwen Yates, to all who inspired them and to all whom they inspire. Now, I've written many books about people that I find inspiring in one way or another, but this is the first time that I have become friends with someone that I've written a book about. Alton Yates is 85 years old. He's an American hero. He's an incredibly kind and generous person, and I've loved having him in my life through the making of this book and the publishing of this book. And I couldn't think of anyone better than Alton and his equally wonderful wife Gwen to dedicate this book to.
That's awesome. Wow. And that's interesting because, I have read a lot of nonfiction books, but about people, biographies. They're not always dedicated to the person they're about.
Right.
And I imagine that's because not a lot of people are friends with the people they're writing the books about.
That's true, and a lot of times the people that are written about are no longer with us. Alton Yates is still with us. So something else that's kind of unique about this book is that I appear as a character in this book.
Whoa, cool.
So at the very end, we jump ahead. Most of the story takes place in the 1950s and 1960, but we jump ahead to 2017, where my wife Jennifer and we visited Alton and Gwen at their home in Jacksonville, and I got to meet him in person. And although I can't say that this is 100% unique, because I also appeared throughout my previous book, How to Make a Book About My Dog. So I don't expect this to become a trend where I appear as a character in all my books, but it's interesting to see how these two different artists depict me, in books that I wrote.
Yeah, and I think it's really cool that because you are a part of his story, that you are a part of the story.
And kids, when I visit schools, and number one, they don't know right until that point that Alton Yates is even still alive, because he went through something pretty traumatic back in 1960 as a civil rights protester. And then for me to also point out, hey, that guy there looks kind of familiar, pointing at myself, it breaks the tension in the room even further. It goes from relief to being amused, I think, to see that this person standing in front of them has met the person that they've just read the story about.
Yeah, that's really cool, man. All right, so we're almost out of time here, but I do want to play a game with you.
Okay.
So the game we're going to play today is Truth or Dare.
Truth or Dare?
Yeah.
I haven't played Truth or Dare in years.
I know, probably like middle school sleepover?
Something like that, yeah.
So, all right, so which would you like to choose, Truth or Dare?
Dare.
Oh, all right, you're very brave.
You're not getting my secrets.
Well, maybe we will through the dare. I dare you to tell me all your secrets. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh,
all right.
Loophole.
Gotcha. All right, no, for the dare, we're going to play a game called Only Questions. For this game, we're both going to have a conversation, but only speak in questions. Now, would you like to start this, or would you like me to?
I would.
Okay, go ahead.
What's on your mind today, Van?
Why do you ask?
Don't you think people should be curious about what each other are thinking about, and monsters too?
What would make you think that?
Why wouldn't I think that people should be curious?
Dang it, I'm not very good at this. All right, I give up. I'm not.
All right, I win.
Well done.
I won Truth or Dare.
You have absolutely bested me at Only Questions.
I have vanquished you.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. This has been a lot of fun.
Thank you for having me back. I look forward to our next conversation,
man.
Oh,
you know it. Well, next year in Austin, all right?
I'll be there. You know it.
Yeah, well, I would hope so, unless you move.
Not doing that. Goodbye.
Goodbye.